And welcome everyone to the season finale of the Mandalorian Spoilercast. As always, I'm Mitch. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 692 tweets and 692 pics. And of course, I'm joined by Sean.
Hey, you can join me on Instagram on Marvel the Martian _12.
And it wouldn't be a finale Spoilercast without Jared, the Trivia Loser Jedi.
Yes, it would not be a season finale review, especially one of a Star Wars property, without Jared, the Dark Jedi of the Nerd Academy podcast.
Trivia Loser Jedi. It says it right there on the screen.
I know. I took a big old L.
Should have listened to me in the Bombad chat. You should have.
I should have challenged that question. But you know what? I'm here. I'm better now. The epic confrontations canon version of Cookie Cop has been destroyed. I have been liberated. Here comes a brand new day for the Dark Jedi as a babyface. Let's see how weird this feels for everybody for me to not be the bad guy.
Very weird.
Very weird. I'm glad we're all in agreement.
Who is he?
I know. I have
Jared,
to find walkout music. I have to find new walkout music.
Makes me nervous.
What would you say?
Makes me nervous a little bit.
Dude, same. I was talking to some of my friends yesterday. I was like, I can't keep using the walkout music I've been using because it's a version of Kendrick Lamar's DNA with like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren dialogue intercut with it. Like, you can't be a face and use that music. So it is a rebrand. It is a reboot from the ground up. We are going full DCU with my character at Epic Confrontations because Scotty J. Rowe kicked my ass. But yeah.
It was if you didn't watch that, you need to go back and watch it because that was a moment on the internet of all time.
I say kicked my butt. It was a very even match that was decided by like the final question that very nearly went into sudden death. I'm very proud of how everything went, and I do not hang my head over it at all.
No, part of me was, I said I want you to lose, and I'm still on that. But the other half of me was like, just do it. just win. I want to see what happens. Just purely for that. I just wanted to see how it went. How would it? And
it's so funny you say that because I was the odds-on favorite to win. Like a friend of the Nerd Academy, Alden Diaz, said privately a number of times, it's not, quote, it's not that I want Jared to lose. It's that I want to live in the timeline where it happened. To see what the fallout looks like. And I don't know what lucky star Mr. Diaz wished on, but he picked a good one. Because here we are.
You did.
Where shards of Cookie Cop exist in Baton Rouge. But yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun. I stayed awake for that. You should, But right, we did not do chapter 23.
Yeah,
was the Spies 23?
I believe so. Yeah.
I can never remember what these.
That sounds right. I have a hard time remembering the numbers as well.
Yeah. I've been trying this entire season just to not say episode 7 or 6, whatever. And every time I always question it. I just can't. My brain does not retain that information. It's a problem. No. So, R.I.P. Paz, I guess.
R.I.P. Paz Vizsla. Absolutely. He went down like such a G. It was really funny to me. My girlfriend, out of every single character in this show that I expected Taylor to really glom onto, Paz Vizsla was not my prediction.
No, because it's not like Paz has had any real major moments of like character development to get you to that point.
Yeah, because before this season, he was just pretty much like the loud, beefy tool bag of the Children of the Watch.
Yeah. And the last time you saw him before this season, he was just outright against Jaren because I'm not calling him Din anymore.
He's a big teddy bear, that's why.
Yeah. And you know what? A jerk who's actually a big cuddly teddy bear. That's something I relate to. As a reformed heel. No, but I also like super fell in love with him as a character, you know. Like I always loved him in that same way that I know like the Gen X OG generation of Star Wars fan loved Boba Fett. Where like before this season, I was like, he looked cool. He wore blue, which is an immediate win for me with Mandalorians. So it was like, you know, he had big cool armor, he had a cool gun, and he was blue, and I liked him for all of those reasons.
And he made loincloths come back in style, you know. So.
Yeah. But we actually got some meat on the bone for him. I'm surprised that we, as a fandom, as a speculative group of people, did not immediately go, "Oh yeah, they gave him a kid. Of course, he's a dead man."
Yeah, I didn't clock that until it happened. So it's like, oh, of course he's gonna die. They gave him a child.
Yeah, but I say I'm surprised, but I'm also glad that like that the cynicism didn't fully kick in. That there was not a moment of like cynical, oh, they're building him up to kill him. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that so many were legitimately caught off guard by that decision.
I mean, they didn't give any indication that that was his fate in any way in any of the seasons. So I mean,
no, but that tends to be the way, though, isn't it? Like you don't have an indication, but you have something like, "Hey, here's a kid."
Yeah, I mean,
like this guy's had a kid. You're now emotionally attached to it because of this kid. Like, we're going to kill him off now. Like,
it's like usually the first, you know, sign of something like that happening. But you know, I mean, you had almost 3 years of 3 seasons of nothing indicating that this was going to be a red shirt. You know.
No.
Well, I mean, I would even hesitate to call him a red shirt. You know, like the red shirt's like that's a cannon fodder. Paz Vizsla was like. That was a gut punch. That was a true gut punch, man.
Well, it's because I think there was some change in the character. I mean, you know, by that time he wasn't like this loudmouth, crazy person. You know, like he had some redeeming qualities to him. You know,
absolutely.
You just wanted the Mandalorians to be happy. That's what I wanted.
Never happy.
I will tell you, I am still thinking about and loving the, you know, why should we go out and risk our lives for those who were once our because we are Mandalorians. It
was a good speech. It was a good speech.
Based Paz Vizsla.
The talking hammer. Yes, I approve. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to talk more about the episode title of this one. Of the spies, because it doesn't tell you who the spies are, and since the episode's come out, no, I haven't seen people really talking about Paz. It's more a case of here's why it isn't, or here why it is the armorer. I'm firmly on the side that she is. I don't care what she does. No, that woman is 100% a spy.
So you, despite everything that happened in the finale, you still don't.
I'm firmly on it. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't trust this gaslighting woman. No,
they definitely they raise flags with her character for sure. You know, like they give you indications that like she's very suspicious. You know, she's suspect, but you know, like maybe it's the long game. You know.
Now, especially because I just finished rewatching season 1 last night. Why is it all these Mandalorians died on Navarro, apart from like her and Paz?
Yeah.
Why is she like one of the only people to still be alive? And it's never brought up again. It's you don't know what happened, but there's just all these.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like
they just
kind of a red herring, you know.
And there's all stuff like that. Also, it's spies. It's plural. Like we have what's her face on Coruscant?
I was gonna say, like,
he's obviously a spy.
Yeah, Elliot Kane.
But then who's the other one? Like, if it was just called the spy, cool, yeah, it's her, which was obvious to begin with anyway that she was working for Gideon still. But the fact that it's plural, like, who is the other one or other ones? There has to be more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with the with the added context of us being like at the end of the season, I am of the mind that unless we're going to get like a season 4, not retcon insofar as they're changing their minds, but like recontextualization of that episode title, I am inclined to say that The Spies may just be like an overarching, like referring to Gideon's, like, you know, network of whispers, you know.
I mean, sure.
Where you know, like that's one of like that's one of the first that's one of the last things we hear before we like smash cut to the title is all I trade in secrets, you know, Commandant Hux. And
I have ears all over the
exactly.
Yeah.
So you know,
they're not goodies, no, he doesn't have nothing about Thrawn. You know Thrawn's coming back.
But
I mean, no one said he had good ears. You know,
that's totally fair point.
There's no,
and also
can't get crap with that bucket on his head. Like.
yeah.
Which is also a indication of how good the secrecy around Thrawn's return has been. But yeah, no, I think that it might be leaning in that direction. Perhaps I am at this point going to give the Armorer and the Children of the Watch the benefit of the doubt. Anybody who's been following my coverage of The Mandalorian over on the Nerd Academy, anyone who's listened to my recent guest spot on Scoundrels Inc., you know, I have been very, very suspicious of the Armorer, and I have a lot of opinions about the Children of the Watch. Opinions about the Children of the Watch that, for lack of a better term, kind of harshed my buzz with this finale. Because as beautiful as it was, as heartfelt as it was, as magical as it was, there are elements of this fundamentalist cult that make me deeply uncomfortable, and things that I do not like that it reinforces. And I think maybe my own personal ick with the Children of the Watch may have colored my perception of the Armorer. You know, people have had their eyes on her since day one. And, you know, I don't necessarily think a lot of the theorizing and fan canon, headcanon stuff is necessarily, you know, baby out with the bathwater. You know, the Armorer in The Spies all but confirms that the Children of the Watch are a derivative of Death Watch.
Yeah.
You know, saying that Death Watch kind of like tore itself apart into many factions. And, you know, the entomology of Children of the Watch is kind of obvious. So I'm still very deeply distrusting of her and of the institution. But, you know, she also almost died several times trying to fight to take back Mandalore. So, you know,
just a sign of a good spy, though, right?
It's a sign of a good spy. Absolutely. And you know, maybe she's not answering to Gideon. Maybe she's answering to who knows? You know, I don't think I'm going to keep like throwing the Armorer up further and further up this food chain we don't know exists. I do think that one can still have a lot of not flattering opinions about the Armorer without her necessarily being one of the titular spies.
Yeah.
But you know, it makes her more fascinating.
Hey.
It makes for a more complicated conversation. And sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, not to, I've said this every time I think I've been on to talk about the Mandalorian, not to bring up the Andor of it all, but you know, one of the things that frustrated me the most about, you know, Andor season was this propensity to use Andor as a cudgel with which to bash other Star Wars projects.
Yeah.
And devalue and diminish what each of those projects had to say because of how deadly serious Andor was. And I think this season of The Mandalorian proves that it is willing to play in nuances and complications that put it right next to Andor. You know, we have arrived at what is a very real world acceptance of sometimes there are pardon me, sometimes there are religious fundamentalist groups that create a net good in society that do preach good ideals but still have problematic beliefs, you know, like that. And that's incredibly real, and it's something that I as a fan am going to have to grapple with my own opinions on, you know, religion and organized religion and faith. You know, like this finale, this season of The Mandalorian begs a lot of questions, and it again proves that there is a habit amongst Star Wars fans to choose to misunderstand what's being said. When you look to you know, the internet and see hordes of people basically saying that season 3 of The Mandalorian was directionless and had nothing to say, it had nothing going on. When like it is asking a lot of questions of the audience and not giving us a whole lot of answers. It is telling us to ponder our own ability to square the ethics of the Children of the Watch, and I'm going to be grappling with that for some time.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get maybe the armorer is looking for redemption. Who knows? You know, I heard that theory out. That makes sense too. You know, like maybe she's a character that is looking for redemption.
I mean, yeah, 'cause there was always that theory that she was that we've seen her face in the Clone Wars, right? That she's that one Mandalorian or Mandalorian.
Yeah, Rook Cast.
That's the one. I could never remember the name.
I know. I always struggle with her name too. I had to like commit it to memory because I was slowly becoming Rook Cast pilled.
But then I think with that, if that was the case, if it was like her, they'd be dropping a few more little hints at that, because, you know, Filoni loves a connection. Not to dog on Filoni, but it's just like the man can't help himself with certain things, and connecting to something like that, maybe it comes in season 4. I don't know, but
it might be part of his big slow burn. You know, you never know.
It's true, yeah. But one thing I know, and Sean already knows this, hopefully. But, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. I am not a fan of the whole IG 11, 12 thing. I do not like that bit.
I can understand not being super into it. I get it. I enjoy it, but I do not begrudge somebody who's not super into the idea that he is back in any way, shape, or form. I understand.
I just find it odd that there's as you brought up, there's all this talk of regression and like character for Jaren, and all the plot and whatever have you. But the second, like, no one, at least I haven't seen anyone say it for this. Like, why walk back? I know it's a droid, but then Star Wars has this conversation about like the rights of droids and all this. Are they people? Are they not? Do they have certain rights to whatever? That's a different conversation. But this just, I don't understand why. Personally, he came back. They brought him back. It feels like a reaction, at least for me, a reaction to losing Carano.
No, I don't think so.
Like him coming back and being like, "Oh, I'm the sheriff of Navarro." It's like, is that supposed to be a thing? Like,
I don't know. Anything to do with the Carano thing.
No, I mean it probably doesn't, but it just, I don't know, the focus on, I can never remember his full name, but Paul, the X-Wing pilot for the New Republic, like bringing him in and then bringing IG back. It's like, is this? It's not that I necessarily believe it is a reaction to that. It's my first instinct is like, is this a reaction to that? Like, are we bringing him back?
Everybody has knee-jerk reactions.
I mean, yeah,
knee-jerk reactions are human, right?
True.
We have them all the time.
More
of a question, I suppose. Like,
I don't think it's so much a reaction about Gina being, exiting the series, because, to kind of map through things, you look at Rangers of the New Republic, and when that was announced, it kind of came with the assumption that that would be the Cara Dune show. So if Kara was always kind of going to be removed from the Navarro equation and be adventuring across the galaxy, doing what it seems like Din is going to be doing by the end of the story. I would not be too terribly surprised if it was always going to be, Marshall Dune is no longer here, and that maybe that Carson Teva, as you were saying, is where Kara was supposed to be. Is that Kara was the the ex-rebel special ops who's now a part of the New Republic, who is Grief reaches out to Kara and goes, "Hey, it's going down to Navarro, help!" And no one's giving Kara the support she needs, so then she goes straight to Din. I think it's easy to see where I think Cara Dune's character could have been in this season. But the decision to have her just be, New Republic Special Forces, I like it. With the IG of it all, I understand why people don't like him coming back. I also, however, think that it is a big part of the broad theme of the Mandoverse at large of Rebirth. And how so many characters, their driving arc is about them reforging, rediscovering themselves. I'm bringing Alden up again, but he points out this line of dialogue from the 3rd episode of this show, Chapter 3, The Sin, that is kind of
season
part of the
1 or
DNA.
season 3?
Season 1, The Sin,
okay.
Chapter 3, where Din says to the armorer, I believe something, I can't remember the exact pardon me, the exact line of dialogue, but it's like, I think my armor has been compromised. I need to begin again. And that is Boba Fett, that is Din, that is Bo-Katan, and IG-11 is that manifest now here as well. I'm going to mute myself before I start coughing again. So
jump in quickly though. Just jump in. He's already had that. Right, because Quill rebuilds him and makes him the nurse, so he's already had that arc once before.
I understand, and sure, yeah, and he has had that arc before. And again, I think that's where there is a very sound argument for not being super into the decision for IG-11 to come back. You guys keep talking. I'm going to get up and get some water before I keep.
That's fine, because that looked like a bad one.
It was.
But yeah, it's it didn't affect my enjoyment of anything. It's just one of those where I'm not just super keen on him coming back again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could almost say he's a different character. Doesn't necessarily mean
I mean, you could, but it's the same. It's going back to with Quill rebuilding him, right? Like he was a different character then. Like he started off as this bounty hunter that was just purely out to kill Grogu for the money, right? And then he comes back and he's now the nursing droid, and then he's a completely different character to what he was then. It's just I have to see how obviously I'm just gonna wait to see how Favreau and Filoni take it. But as it stands right now, I'm just very not hot.
Are you cautiously optimistic?
I mean, I'm optimistic that they can handle it well. It's just so far, it's a correct decision that I personally wouldn't have taken, because I think you've done it once before.
Okay.
But you're trading around again.
Sure. Duly noted. I don't know. I didn't mind. It didn't really take me out of the show. I mean, it wasn't so much of a distraction from the main crux of the story, anyways. So I mean, they needed to do something with Grogu anyways. So, I mean, what would you have done in the place of that? That would have been...
What, in place of the whole IG mech suit thing?
Sure.
I mean, off the top of my head, the fact that he's just walking around anyway at the minute, like he has no pram at the end of the show or the end of the season.
I mean, he was He had a lot of interaction in action in that suit, in the IG-11 suit. So I mean, he did more. He would have done more good versus just walking around in a pram. Or walking.
I mean,
around.
yeah, like you can getting rid of the pram's fine because the show does that anyway, right? But
I mean, it adds another body to help the Mandalorians with whatever they're doing. You know, like he's actually physically.
Yeah, I think my question is though, does he actually need it? Because let's be, this isn't me like just completely dogging on it, right? This is just a natural question. You see him get pushed, or he walks back with the Praetorian guards, right? He's in that suit for another half a second before he's already jumping and flipping about. Like, he doesn't need the suit in that instance. And then at the end of the series, he's walking about anyway. So you could have just done a Grogu action scene. The whole foundling bit where he does the little paintball fight. It's like, oh, look, Grogu can actually kind of maybe fight right now. Like, does he necessarily need this mechanized suit or mechanized pram? Because it's essentially what IG-11 was at that point. Like, does he inherently need that? Like, obviously the show's going, no, he doesn't. It just, I don't know, it doesn't feel necessary for me for this show to have the pram. And
I would say I would put it into like, it's a cool moment. You know, it looks cool. You know, like, it's gonna be a great action figure, you know.
I was trying to avoid going like it felt like an action figure because people have been saying that a lot this season, and it's done my head in. It's like, oh, look at the action figures. It's like, shut up. But
I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day,
it is Star Wars, right? They are action figures.
They're action figures. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's.
You know,
in the same way that there are versions of Din Djarin that do and do not have the Mudhorn signet.
Yeah.
Same thing goes here. You know, we have Bo-Katan, we have like original recipe Bo-Katan, and now we have Night Owl Mythosaur Bo-Katan.
But she has a new children.
Yeah, your arm has been compromised. But I don't know. I think narratively that the IG-11 mech, IG-12, mostly existed.
Is it 12 now?
That's it. Well, Grief calls the mech suit IG-12, but when they turn him back on for real, he is IG-11.
Okay,
because he has his that is the being inside of the personhood chip or whatever they put in him. I see it a lot as a narrative device to give Grogu the ability to like be in danger with the Praetorian Guard and not immediately jump to like him doing like acrobatics to run for his life. Because it facilitates one of the moments that I loved was that Din could not beat the Praetorian Guard on his own. Grogu could not beat the Praetorian Guard on his own. They could only do it together. They could only do it with that tag team like Grogu. I'm going to force push one down so you can handle the 2-on-1. And Din pieces up this guy, and then Grogu force pushes him off of him. And then one charges at Grogu, and then he starts blasting. And then, lets a couple shots off at a Praetorian Guard, and that frees Grogu up. And I think it set it up nicely to give you that dramatic tension of showing, of giving us, the audience, enough time to see Grogu in peril before he was fully put on his back foot for Din to rescue him. I also think that it facilitated Grogu to have the moments he does, like he does in The Spies, where he breaks up the fight between Axe-Woves and Paz. Where like he could, like you could not have had that beat without the IG-12 suit. And
I think you could.
Well, not really. I mean, you have
Grogu.
The
force to stop it, right? Like,
I know, but he's nonverbal still. He's still nonverbal, and the very like childlike yes, no, like that beat of him stepping in between them and like again physically putting his hands on their shoulders, because like using the Force, I think, changes that scene a little bit. You know, it is no longer a member of this tribe who's breaking up the fight. It's a Jedi doing it. Where when you have Grogu like physically reach out and touch them and go, no,
but
no, that I think that plays better. In my opinion, I think it plays better than just the straight up, like if like Grogu were just sitting there holding them apart with the Force, because even then he doesn't get to have the moment where he, in his very limited way, but still incredibly fluently, despite it only being one word repeated, goes, no, this isn't why we're here. We're better together, and be that unifier. So I get why people don't love the IG-12 stuff, but I think it does facilitate two of the best moments of these past two episodes.
Yeah.
And toys.
And what?
And toys.
Oh, and toys, yeah. I mean, it did feel like Hot Toys kind of came in here and went, we need a new Grogu.
Yeah.
Forget Bandai and everyone else, or Hasbro. We need a new Grogu. We have this mold. We have an idea. We have some IG-11s left over. And we have some Grogus. Going to hollow out the chest and ship it out.
There you
$300.
God, have fun, Armin, fitting that hot toy in your like Batman bat suit armor tube of Sideshow collectibles you have.
But anyway, I will agree that the whole stopping it, the fight on the ship in the spies works, but it's the whole choreography in the finale without it was chef kiss.
Well, I mean,
that's
it was
one thing
great,
about
but
the whole
also, oh, you say what you were gonna say.
I was just gonna say the choreography in these two episodes I loved. Thought it was fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. This was a great fight. You don't get a lot of bare knuckle brawls in Star Wars. And granted, strictly speaking, it was not bare knuckle.
Also, Jaren likes using the feet and going for the legs a lot, so it's very nice.
Yeah, and he's right to do that. I love his little like hands on the ground kick. We've seen him do that a few times this season, where he just kind of throws his feet up there. I will say though, and this is the Mandalorian, the Mandoverse.
Oh, I hate that name so much.
I know.
Star Wars.
I know. I will, to describe like the closely knit network of shows
of Star Wars,
yeah. In the same way that we all hate the word content, we all hate that word. It is just a really convenient short form that we all have to begrudgingly use. I look at the term Mandoverse the same way. It's going to be really hard to top the first fight between Moff Gideon and Din Djarin for me. One specific move, and I've talked about it to death, and it's when it's like Darksaber on Beskar's spear, and Din like throws the spear behind his back and donkey kicks it up.
Yes,
like he just throws his back foot into it and just swings over and bonks Gideon. I cheer for that almost as hard as I cheer for Luke coming through and piecing up the Dark Troopers. All of that to say, though, the choreography was great. The brawl, just the scrap between Gideon and Din was fantastic. It was so good. It was so remarkable. It felt hopeless. It felt you feel helpless as the audience. You know,
I think especially because obviously that's why Paz died, right? But like the whole Praetorian Guards bit, like it's the way they just surgically take him out in chapter 23.
Yeah,
the spies, like that just showed it just worked with how they wanted you to feel with every single fight in these 2 episodes.
Oh yeah.
And it just carried over, because the second they come out, you're like, oh no. Like, please.
Well,
I mean,
and
how
again-
helpless Dean was last episode in The Spies as well.
Yeah.
Getting just
Yeah,
tied
well,
up. Like, oh dear.
I love the way that, you know, as much as people love to, you know, oh, Andor didn't feel the need to remind you it was Star Wars. The Mandalorian is about Star Wars. It's not about anything. Okay, cool. Using the film language of Star Wars, from the moment we saw the Praetorian Guards, we knew Paz Vizsla was a dead man, and it filled us all with dread. The moment the Praetorian Guards came out to assist Gideon, we as the audience had our stomachs fall out, because we went, oh God, he can't even handle Gideon. Now he's going to get jumped by these guys, because we as the audience saw that it took 2 of the most powerful Force sensitives, two of the most powerful Jedi that we've ever seen in this franchise, barely survived 6 of these guys. So 3 on somebody who can't touch the Force, or 3 on somebody who's barely armed, or 3 on a child, you know, kind of scary.
Also, I just quickly, I'm good. It's on the topic, but it's slightly different. I 100% blame Bo-Katan for Paz's death.
Ooh.
The second she took that Darksaber out and started cutting that hole, she cut that too small. There was no way he was fitting through that. Straight away, she stuck that through that door, and I was like, she's not going to make it big enough.
He could have taken the jetpack off and then put it back on.
He could have, but you know, he turns around and he's like, I ain't getting through that.
Well, I mean, my gun was useless anyways at that point. You know, the barrel was melted, so he had to get rid of it.
It was afterwards, but she cut the hole before that.
Mm.
I'm just saying, she knew what she was doing. That woman could not Qui-Gon her way out of there. You know,
she didn't Qui-Gon her way out properly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the second I knew he died. It's like that hole is not going to be big enough. Someone's dying here, and it's the big one.
I also want to say, just real quick, prequel character name drop that you reminded me of during Guns for Hire. I just want everybody to know that I was irrationally happy to hear Christopher Lloyd say, Count Dooku was a visionary cut short. Count Dooku's a top 10 character for me, so that's my favorite episode of the season, just because Count Dooku got a name drop.
I mean, it also said that Jack Black committed space war crimes, so
we don't know the name.
He has the little red letter thing on his lapel.
Hey, listen,
man committed some kind of crime.
Redemption and rehabilitation.
Yeah, redemption for what though?
We don't know.
He littered
space war crime.
As Jack Black once said in a different franchise, if you want to be hardcore, you got to live hardcore. And also, peaches. But anyway, but no, the fight was incredible. I loved the jetpack cavalry, you know. And I'm so excited to rewatch the episode later tonight with Taylor, because for me, you know, and you know, I love me my Star Wars fight scenes, man. That's my jam. I love that. But like, I was so caught up in the melodrama and like the terror of what could or couldn't happen to some of these characters that like I was partially like not super into or paying attention to like I was like, oh, the fight choreography is great, but like, is everybody gonna be okay? Like, I know when I go back and watch that, now that I know how this episode's going to pan out, that I'm going to let out those ooh on some of these hits, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because before before things got super dire, like when Din was just shooting dudes in the neck and stabbing people through the head because they're wearing Beskar and you got to go for the soft parts. I was like, oh,
pretty brutal in this.
He had to, and it was jarring. No pun intended.
It was Din.
It was
Din. I can't believe they changed the names around.
I think I am excited to learn how that works. Because I am
currently... Is it Catan Bo?
No, it's
Or
Bo-Katan
it
of House Kryze. So Kryze, and again, I think this is another example of like the Children of the Watch doing something that is either kind of antiquated or having their own system for it. You know, like I don't know how else to handle that. I also do want to call attention to, because I'm also working on the thumbnail while we're speaking. I had to find a PNG of Grogu. His Wikipedia page has already been updated to Din Grogu.
That's quick.
Oh yeah, they do that shit fast. Sorry.
Let it out. It's fine.
I'm sorry. Just give me just put like a big cookie cup, like stop, move away from the cookie jar over every time I cuss by accident. But no, it was incredible. Like I want a poster of when Bo like just charge and just plunged the Darksaber into that one guy.
Which, speaking of, it's no more.
There
It's
is
gone.
no more Darksaber.
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting decision. And again, for as much as there's been the, oh, well, it's for toys. It's for toys. As much as we want to have that conversation, they just got rid of one of the best pieces of Star Wars marketing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And what, admittedly, or self-admittedly, what they said the show's about.
In some ways, yeah. But
well, they've outright said, like, they've made a show about the Darksaber, which just happens to be Mandalorians and stuff.
Well, but that's what I love, though, is that they make up their mind by saying, but the Darksaber is but a symbol. That Gideon being is like such a profoundly evil colonialist by trade, like makes the decision to destroy the Darksaber since he can't have it. In the same way that he pillaged and then took control over Mandalore. And I pointed this out on KNR, and I know I was into the theory. I don't remember who originated it. All the way back in season 1, there were people like, what if Moff Gideon's trying to give himself the ability to touch the Force? Whoever said that, what is it now? 4 years ago?
About the, yeah.
That Gideon's experimenting on Grogu to give himself the ability to touch the Force. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. Like, you called that. He says it. He says the words out loud. But
yeah, because this ties up everything, doesn't it? This goes right back to that first episode. And the reason why Jaren and Grogu actually even meet.
Yeah.
It's all to that.
It's all there, and he chooses to destroy the Darksaber because he can't possess it. And it is that destructiveness that proves the resolve of the Mandalorians, is that they do not need the Darksaber, is that they've moved, that they are moving past the constant squabbling and warring with each other that has kept them apart for so long, that they're able to relight the Great Forge without the Darksaber being present. I think that is incredibly beautiful, and I love that so much. I hate to see it go. I loved seeing it in live action, but that was
made
such
the
a
lighting.
bold
It had
decision.
a very distinct lighting to it. You obviously it's just a white fluorescent tube in the actual filming of it, but it made everything look so distinct compared to everything else. Like all the other lightsabers. Obviously now it's different to what it was before, but it just looked. It just made everything look clean. It was never too bright. Clean. It was always just focusing on who's holding it at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I love that decision. Again, it was a really bold decision, and it continues to fly in the face of the people who have been rampantly against this season for some reason. That
it's just that time, isn't it? Everything.
The Darksaber is antiquated. I mean, they don't need
it.
So, it's a ballsy decision to get rid of it, but I mean, in the narrative, it made sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I will miss it though. I saw a theory in between the episodes that Snoke's ring, or one of, Snoke's rings was like a little black crystal, and that's going to be the Darksaber crystal or something. Obviously,
So,
I highly doubt that's going to turn out to be true, but
I can explain to you why. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that.
did I see that
Lucasfilm-
from you?
No, I'm not going to go so far as to say that Lucasfilm should be holden to keep every single thing that is in a visual dictionary canon. However, the black obsidian ring that Snoke wears is from Mustafar, and I know that like it's like an obsidian crystal that they use at like a Galaxy's Edge you can find, and but like I don't think it is the Darksaber's Kyber crystal because you don't even know how that works.
No.
Which is another thing that I love. I think I've always been a proponent of the idea that the Darksaber utilizes the first synthetic lightsaber crystal, and that it is a practice that was kind of forgotten because Tar Vizsla was one of the only people to ever do it. And that's part of why we have these really funky looking orange lightsabers, is that's another form of
I like
synthetic.
those sabers. I don't care what anyone says. I think they look cool.
They look great.
Different.
They look great. And again, it's so crazy seeing these like the exotic lightsaber colors in canon in a whole ass TV show, you know. Makes me
So
happy.
orange is just the best color anyway. So
I mean, it's not blue, red, or purple, but you know, it's good. It's a
how is man saying that when he's got his logo is literally orange?
and blue. It is also blue.
Predominantly, well, there's a lot of orange.
There is a lot of orange, and orange is a color I never much care for until this logo was made. But I like blue. I'm wearing the blue version of the shirt
blue.
right now.
I'll be honest, I was looking at this shirt and I didn't realize there's actually, because we're using StreamYard spoilers, people. I didn't realize that there was a logo in the top right. And it's like, oh yeah, it is more blue. My memory just went, there's more orange.
Well, I mean, in your defense, again, we are in StreamYard, so a lot of the text on the KNR logo that is the current background is also orange.
Is orange.
So it's a good mix. It is a good mix, but it is mostly blue. Multiple shades of blue. That's how much I like it. But no, I just everything about this season and you know, a lot of this episode I've loved. For me, it's this Children of the Watch sticking point is going to be something I have to mull over. Pardon me, for a very long time. Or I think I will be for a long time. Because I just don't know what to make of it. You know, I may be cooking something with a very special topic episode to jump right into talking about this stuff very soon.
Nice.
On TNEP, so stay tuned for that. But I have a lot of feelings, and most of them are good. And then there's this part with the Children of the Watch that I don't know what to make of. And you know, in some ways, I am frustrated that the show did not have more of an opinion about the fundamentalist cult that cast Din Djarin out for saving his son's life, despite prioritizing the foundling so much. But also, it's a really ambiguous question, and I think it was brave of the show to pose such a question. So
I feel like it will come to head eventually.
Yeah.
This show had. This show's always been not a long con, but a long game, I suppose.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. So
speaking of cons, I was absolutely conned out of someone riding a mythosaur in this season, and I'm not happy about it. I blame Boba Fett.
They never said that that they would ride the mythosaur.
I don't care what they didn't say. Chekhov's gun.
But that Chekhov's gun doesn't necessarily just mean this season. That's still a thread
fair
that could
point.
be found
I
down
still
the
just
road.
blame.
And we also saw Grogu
Boba
speak
Fett.
with it very briefly, which I thought was a nice touch.
It's true. Yeah.
Was Grogu sending like good vibes down to the mythosaur through the living waters?
I just blame Boba Fett for taking that away from me. So, we can't repeat this. No, we've had one Mandalorian ride a giant lizard. We can't have a second one do it. They totally could have done. But yeah, then we could have got Boba Fett on a Rancor and a Mythosaur.
You're not wrong. We could have gotten all of it, but like I said, I think we still have time. I think we still have time for that to happen.
We still have time. But speaking of not having time, though, I was actually shocked that Sabine was not in these last 2 episodes. I had money down that she would have shown up.
I'm not surprised by Sabine not showing up. I was surprised by there not being a post-credit.
There's that as well.
That was what surprised me more than
I completely
anything.
didn't. I was expecting it. I didn't get it.
I was super, super anticipating a post-credit of Thrawn, with the whole with Pelion, walking aboard the bridge of the Chimera, going, Grand Admiral Thrawn, seems Moff Gideon's forces on Mandalore have fallen, and there being again just a slow shot of him from the front, just thank you, Captain Pelion. Moff Gideon's arrogance has finally caught up with him, but it is in the long run going to be a boon for us, as he is no longer able to siphon off our resources from Project Necromancer. I was like, okay, this is how they're gonna do it. We're gonna finally see Thrawn, and I'm shocked. I was saying on the Celebration recap we did on Nerd Academy, I was like, if you go back, 2020.
I appreciate them not swearing there. I saw that.
No, I was catching up with my own mouth. I'm being careful. That you go back to 2020 when they announced all of the shows and stuff that were going to be coming down the pipeline. They didn't mention Book of Boba Fett. Why? Because a week and a half later, The Rescue came out, and that's where Book of Boba Fett was announced, and people went nuts.
Yeah.
And I truly, truly thought that because the general public did not get to see Thrawn's face, they showed a little bit at Celebration where we got that horrible image quality Thrawn Musk.
I was going to say the Elon Musk Thrawn. My favorite.
Dogecoin is going to the moon, Lieutenant Vanto.
I will say he looks fantastic, but that specific shot was that
one picture is rough. Yeah. But I was like, that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna show us Thrawn for the first time, glowing red eyes and everything, and that'll be how the season ends. And then that will tee up season 4, because it's okay, this is our big bad, Din Djarin. His new job is he's gonna become like Aldo Rain, but for the Empire. 100 Imperial scalps, working under the table. Super into that. Show us the threat he is going to be encountering, and they didn't. Was I slightly disappointed? A little bit, but it's nothing that took away from the show. But I was shocked that's not the route they went. I did not have any expectation of Sabine, but Thrawn, that's what I was anticipating.
I'll say this ties into me expecting Sabine as well. I'm going to put it down to Marvel brain, not to insult Marvel, but I've been conditioned to thinking a certain way. Of post-credit scenes, characters showing up to set other things up, and I think I got that in my Star Wars. And it, admittedly, they had done it before, right? We've had post-credit scenes in The Mandalorian before. Mm-hmm. I just think I expected it here, and whether they're going away from that, I don't know. It seems like it. Would I have liked it? Of course, I would have done, but I just want more Sabine. But well. I haven't got long to wait for Sabine anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say I that's another thing, is I'm still stunned by the turnaround time on Ahsoka.
What, the August?
Yeah, that they were like, oh guys, by the way, you have a couple months, get ready.
I'm excited.
Oh, I cannot wait. That is, oh boy, everything about that is just counting the seconds.
See, I love that trailer. It looked fantastic.
That trailer was amazing. And I also love the fact that the Ahsoka show might do wonders for my own engagement, seeing as the main antagonists are going to be called Dark Jedi, apparently. So, as a fun little send up.
Old Skull and Hattie.
Uh,
They're the Norse wolves. It's Filoni.
yeah.
Himself.
I
can't remember their other names. I just know that
I know the guy's first name is Balin.
That's it, Balin. Yeah.
So it's Balin's Skull, and it's Hottie something. Yeah. I can't remember what her last name is. I got to only remember. Yeah,
theories that she's getting Mara Jade or some crap, and I'm like, I can't tell if we're actually being like a parody of ourselves at this point.
Well, I mean, but it's very MCU. Like a reinterpolation of a different story.
I mean, yeah, there's that. It's just more like
Balin's Skull could very easily be like the reinterpolation of Joris Sabayoth in the same way that look at like Iron Man 2. Whiplash isn't just Whiplash; he's also Crimson Dynamo, and he's also Titanium Man. We're like same thing there. I wouldn't be surprised. So could like the Heir to the Empire name drop. Okay, Thrawn, and there's clones, and there's a Dark Jedi threat. Okay,
yeah,
like
sure,
that's that same like we're gonna take a few elements and then put them in a smoothie and kind of remix how we do it. It's the same basic principle we've seen from the MCU for years. I'm thrilled that we're seeing Star Wars do stuff like that. I think that is such fertile ground to adapt some of these stories, not recreate it one-to-one from, page to screen. Because a lot of that won't work.
It's like what they have been doing, right? Just cherry pick from the old stuff and then make it actually fit and not hodgepodge it like it was before. Yeah,
but now they've like upped the ante, where instead of just like, we'll take Thrawn. Sure, there was a Sith Lord named Revan. Oh yeah, there was a guy named Darth Bane. He did found the rule of 2. Here, take the like instead of like that little bit of cherry picking, now they're like taking like a whole clump of story and concept and just kind of kerplunk right into a narrative.
Yeah, at least for Heirs to the Empire, right? And the whole Thrawn trilogy. Which if you're gonna do it for anything, it's got to be those. It's got to be that.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that I've read them, but I'm very well aware of the impact that character in those stories has on stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm actually making my way through the OG Thrawn trilogy for the first time now.
Nice.
A lot of that stuff. I've told this story before, but like as a kid, I was gifted this. There we go. I was gifted this like encyclopedia. It was basically a gigantic Star Wars history book.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I knew the fictional history of so much of what is now the Legends continuity that like I just knew what happened. I never went back to understand the stories for a lot of those. I just knew what happened. And I like understood a lot of the in-universe mechanics, something that I don't say this in a way to indict the fandom necessarily, but that is definitely, I think, the way that most of the fandom experiences Legends is that they know the fictional history, but haven't actually engaged with a lot of the material. And that's how you arrive at a lot of YouTubers who habitually miss the point. That's neither here nor there. But like I was like,
I've been seeing the old tweets recently.
Ratio. But we I've really enjoyed actually getting to engage with this story because it's weird. Heir to the Empire is weird. It feels so disconnected from so much of Star Wars. Now, granted, a lot of that is because it is in many ways like, the first EU novel. Like there were other Star Wars novels that had come out.
So you had the comics as well before it, didn't you?
Yeah, and even then there were like other books. There was like the Han Solo stuff, but like this is like trying to establish a groundwork and a network and a continuity that like Lucas in a few years would throw out the window. It's so crazy. Like they exclusively refer to Vader and the Emperor as Dark Jedi, and that's the only term they have because George said no, you can't use Sith. because he had always had the term Sith in mind. But like if if Timothy Zahn had his way with his original plans for Heir to the Empire, the Lords of the Sith would simply have just been like the title for why the Empire was able to boss the Nogri around as a people.
Yeah.
The Nogri would have just been called the Sith. Whereas now we have this whole order. So Heir to the Empire doesn't get the infrastructure of Star Wars lore that so many other Legends novels have. So it has a lot of really weird out there concepts. You know, this not understanding or having any idea as to what the Clone Wars were. You know, they don't get that like very integral concept of the Sith. A lot of weird Force stuff. So seeing a lot of the concepts, the ideas thematically and story-wise within Heir to the Empire get to have a full recontextualization into the canon. That excites me more than anything.
Same.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, lost Sean again. But I think that's a good sign to wrap things up here. He's back. So yeah, I enjoyed this season. I really enjoyed the season.
Me too.
I like to a certain extent. I can understand people's complaints with it. Only certain specific ones. Others I just outright don't see in the slightest. But you know, people are entitled to their own opinions. It's fine.
People are entitled to their own opinions. I think there's a lot of bad faith criticisms of this season. I also think there's a
100%.
lot of very valid complaints from the perspective of the Children of the Watch cult of it all. That is also a very valid issue to have with how they may or may not have successfully navigated that plot thread that they opened. But you know, that's stuff that can be litigated down the road. I think this is my favorite season of the show so far.
That's
we'll see.
I tell you what,
time. I think it's my favorite overall. The finale leaves me in a weirder place than any other finale that we've had so far.
Yeah.
Though, you know,
I think the final 2 episodes have been the strongest out of the 3 seasons. Even if it does follow the episode 7, someone's going to die structure of this show, because it is now officially a pattern. It's happened 3 seasons in a row now.
Well, who died in episode 7 last season?
I can't think of. I saw it earlier. Who died?
I mean, they fake.
There was
Mayfeld's
a
death.
Oh yeah, that was a fake out, wasn't it? Yeah. Even so, a fake out death. Someone quote died. I'll take that back actually.
Because Kuil dies in season 1. It's the same way that I always make the joke about the Marvel TV memory gauntlet. Where like it feels like it happens in every show. It's only happened in 3, but it's weird that it has happened in 3.
Yeah.
It's really funny that it's 3 or 4 that it has happened that many times. But still, it is an interesting pattern that a body goes down.
Speaking of memory gauntlets, I need Secret Invasion to have a memory gauntlet. I don't care who, preferably from Fury, right? But I don't care who, but someone needs a memory gauntlet in that show.
I am going to begin the obnoxious fan campaign to demand that there be a cameo from David Hasselhoff playing Fury Senior. Because
I'll be honest, I was expecting that to happen anyway.
Give him a hamburger. I'm pretty sure he'll show up.
And give him a whole chicken, he'll definitely do it. Yeah.
Hey, give me a hamburger. I'll do a whole lot.
I say I'm currently rewatching from the start. As I said earlier, I finished season 1 last night. I can't remember what. I think it was the 2nd episode in season 2. I finished as well last night. So by the time that Ahsoka's finished, I will I'll come back or even by the time Ahsoka started, really, and I'll see which one's my favorite.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely on from memory. This has got the strongest 2 episodes, hands down.
I think my favorite episode period might still be the rescue, but like that
Which one was
episode
the
is
rescue?
the season 2 finale.
Oh yeah.
But like that episode is just so deeply cathartic, and it marries my love of Din and Grogu's relationship with like my idealized like interpretation of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Where like when Luke shows up, and not to throw shade at any certain Star Wars content creators, you know, I cry when I see Luke Skywalker in that scene, not because he's badass and cool, but because that is a hope you can only get from Superman. You know, like that's why I love the High Republic. You know, where like the Jedi, you get that moment where it feels like all hope is lost, and at that final moment, just like at the beginning of the light of the Jedi with the High Republic, where you get that, you know, the comm lights up, you know, this is Jedi Master Ava Chris, help is on the way, and everyone's like, oh, the Jedi are here, we might get through. I think for me, the rescue still has that moment where you go, oh, it's gonna be okay, where you just get filled with so much hope, and you see the evil that is Moff Gideon be fully filled with terror, because he sees this paragon of light and heroism coming down the hallway. It's one of the reasons why I think one of my favorite episodes of the season is The Foundling. Might be my favorite episode of the season because of the Keller and Beck stuff.
Good episode.
Fantastic episode. Yeah, no, I think this might be my favorite overall season so far.
Season 1's my favorite. Still is.
Season 1's very good. It
sets the tone of the character, the music. It gives you the iconic music. You know, like it. I mean, it. For me, it does it all. So, I mean,
though I will say, I know I had the complaint at the time. Going back to season 1, I didn't realize how dark it was. Like my memory of it is, it's actually a lot brighter and like just to look at. But
I was to say, do you mean like in terms of like lighting or
actual
tone?
lighting? Yeah. Which I still think so. I still have that as a very strong complaint about all Mandalorian episodes. I say not all of them, but majority of them. No, because this one, these last 2 have been dark. It might be an extra. It might be a case that I need a new TV, which I'm trying to make currently, or it's I shouldn't watch it during the day, but even at night, it's still very light.
I've had issues with that. I haven't had those issues super bad with these most recent episodes, but also I watch them at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So
I will say the main offender though for me was I can't. Was it the second one in this season where Bo and Din go to
the Mines of Mandalore?
Yeah. There's like 3 sources of like artificial light and nothing's being lit up. I'm just like, come on, come on now. But that's gone now. It's still good. I just wish they turn up the brightness. And my chair just snapped. If you hear a crash, that was me falling over.
That has happened to me on air twice.
Never.
Twice. Strange. It's happened twice.
Yeah. Much like it seems that I tend to take L's 2 times as a general rule. I don't learn the first time, but
I was trying to think of where there's an L in any of the names, and I couldn't think of anything. I was like, damn, the Nerd Academy's not got any L's in the name.
No.
Nerd Republic has one, but
yeah, and that's me.
Oh. Anyway, I think we're all in agreement. Good season.
Great season.
Very
Loved
good
it.
season. Great season. But yeah, well, thanks for joining, everyone. go watch Jared on the Nerd Academy. Carry on listening to this, even though me and Sean probably won't be back until Secret Invasion, unless I forgot about anything between now and then. Thanks for joining everyone, and bye-bye.